Hey, this is David Richter, and this is the Profit First REI podcast. Thank you for listening. This is Carter Lane. This is an exciting one because this is where, if you are in the real estate world and you're like, I am so sick of not knowing where to put my money, and especially in places where I want to pay the least amount of taxes or I want to do stuff creatively, because everyone that's in the real estate world does creative stuff. We have Carter on today talking about self-directed IRAs and just that whole world. Carter, thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks, David. I'm excited, man. I've heard a lot about you before meeting you, and yeah, this is a real honor, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to have you. You're definitely one of the sharpest dressed people that have come on the podcast, number one. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can obviously see he's got some of the best hair too, like in all of these masterminds that I go to. I mean, Carter's to the T here. This is awesome. So I won't focus on that though. Let's go down the road of, okay, if people have never heard of self-directed IRAs and are thinking like, what the hell does that even mean? Like self-directed, and I've heard of IRA and maybe traditional or a 401k. Can you give us that overview? And then I'm going to ask you a bunch of other questions.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of just break it down to like the simplest form. So you've got here in the United States, we're going to specifically talk here. You have individuals here that have about $43 trillion, give or take, in retirement accounts right now. And these are like IRAs, 401ks, like the big players, Fidelity, Schwab's, whatever. Only between 2 to 5% of that's self-directed, which means there's so much of people's money that are in these retirement accounts that they have no idea that they can actually control. And self-directed just means invest into the things that they believe in, know, trust, want to invest into.
So they're not stuck in like the stock market or like just a
Correct.
list of things that a company gives them.
Correct. And so what we focus on is, with these different groups, but just individuals in general, is just educating them on, what's possible. Like how is it that, most people are taught the same thing, which is what I was taught. And I can kind of tell my story a little bit, but get a good job, save my money, put it into, these savings accounts or these retirement accounts. And then I'm going to retire at the age of 65. And then apparently we're all going to just like migrate to Florida and live well. But, sadly, almost 85% of people go back to work after they retire within 3 years. And so the question is like, why is that a broken system? Why is it not working? Well, the stuff that we're taught to put our money into, IRAs, 401ks, whatever, we're just not taught that they're just so baked with fees and they're investing in things that lose every 4 to 7 years. And we got to rebuild and do all these things. And so the really cool thing about like your viewers and just people in general, right? We're looking for a different way. Like there's got to be something different. There has to be a different financial vehicle. And so for most of us, we look at some form of real estate or another as that financial vehicle. So what Unified Wealth does and what we want to do is come in and teach people is like, look, as you're kind of heading down this path of learning and growing wealth in these alternative assets, did you know that you have all of these monies over here that can be repositioned, taking it away from someone else's control, putting it into your control, and then using that money down the path that you're going, which is investing into, real estate, one form or another. And then as you make money, you get to keep that money. As you mentioned before, you get to minimize your taxes legally, because at the end of the day, really, David, is like taxes are a game. Retirement is a game. Now there's rules to that game, right? There's things that you got to have, tools, which is, a self-directed account. But with these tools, you can kind of play the game at a much better pace and actually, win the game at a much quicker pace than otherwise you might be doing if you're just saving your money and parking it into these things that you don't know what's being done to it.
Yeah,
Which is
for
typically
sure.
what a retirement account is.
And that's where Profit First, like we're all about keeping more of the money. And this sounds like a great way for someone who's not of the traditional mindset, but wants to like invest outside the stock market and to be able to like it says, self-direct, like being able to put it in the things they believe about, that they care about. And I know there's a bunch of stipulations, there's a bunch of things on it. That's getting into the nitty gritty, but why would someone want to self-direct versus just a traditional IRA? Like, is it just because of, like, are there any other benefits other than I could just invest in real estate? Like, are there other benefits to the self-directed world?
Yeah. So like, let's just take a look at like the stock market as a whole. And I'm not saying the stock market is bad. I'm not saying, equities are bad or bonds are bad. What I'm saying is, when we look at like an IRA or a 401k, like when those things were created in the 70s and 80s, they were never created to be like the thing. Like it's the one and only thing that's going to help you build wealth. And you got to put it into equities long term. But what a self-directed account allows folks to do is it allows them to diversify, right? Equities, 401ks, those are cool. If you're with a company, you have a 401k, the company's matching it, free money, cool, do that. But that doesn't have to be the only path, right? So a lot of the folks that come to us from one organization or another, they're like, look, yeah, I've got some money in equities, but I also want to do real estate because I know whatever path they're doing, whether it's, notes or rentals or rehabbing or tax, whatever. They're like, I can also make money over here. And a lot of times my returns are much better. The other benefit is if my money's in my control and I'm putting into real estate, you know, a tweet doesn't come out or a war doesn't pop off or something happened to the market where all the returns that I made go away. And that's just historically what happens every 4 to 7 years, any growth returns. And then, most people have to start over. So I think what we have is as a society right now where people are being more educated than ever. There's more resources to learn stuff. And people are going, wait, why have I bought into this thing when it's not really getting the job done at a 5 to 6 to 7% return annually? And that's typically what, most investment accounts do, and then I don't want to bore everybody with the devaluation of the dollar and inflation. It's like your money's worth less and it's just not getting the job done. And so we want to, educating people, which people are more educated. That's why they go to a group, the different organizations and the folks that follow you and learn from you and your groups. Is we want to add to that education is like, look, there's other things that you can do.
Right. And it sounds like this is a very good option, like to a listener who's in the real estate world as an alternative to just, parking their money in the stock market as they make money, as they're keeping more of it, instead of just doing it in a traditional IRA or a Roth or whatever. You can have the self-directed account. When is a good time for someone to open up a self-directed account? Like, when do you advise people to do that? Or like, let's just say I've got a fix and flipper who's been flipping for the last 2-3 years. They started to make some money. They're making over 6 figures annually, like inside of their company. Would you advise them to start? Like, when do you say, hey, I think you should open up a self-directed account?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. I'm always going to say, yeah, now, right? So, and especially so for this scenario, and a lot of folks have that question who are business owners. Like a lot of us that start out in real estate, and I've been in real estate about 20 years, I was a business guy that, so there are specific self-directed retirement accounts for business owners. So like as the guy or gal that has an LLC or an S Corp and they're making money and investing, well, they're paying taxes on that money because it's growing, right? We get deductions and things like that. And without boring everybody to death with tax code, but a business owner can make a bunch of money and also contribute to a business's retirement account. So there's a really cool account that we specialize in called the Solo 401k, and it's only for business owners. So if I have LLCs or an S Corp or whatever, I have the ability to have my own business's retirement account where I can contribute up to $74,000 per year of my business income into the retirement account. Now, because it's a self-directed one, I can take that money and I can reinvest it into real estate and all the other cool things that I'm already doing, one form of real estate or another. So what I'm doing is instead of just writing a check to the United States Treasury and saying, okay, off to the ether, whatever, I'm giving it to myself in my own account and I'm investing the things that I want to invest into. And I'm paying myself the interest, and my interest is compounding for me.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not giving it to a financial Fidelity, not saying everything wrong with Fidelity, but like I'm not giving it to a financial institution that are just going to feed the crap out of it. I'm giving it to myself. I'm investing the things, I'm keeping the money, and I'm building an ecosystem around myself through a business and through my retirement accounts. So to answer your question, now is the best.
So now's the best time. I would say too, it sounds like you have to be a profitable business, correct? Like you can't be on life support and like this is going to say, because it sounds like if you put in the self-directed, can you reinvest back into your own business, or is that a prohibited transaction?
Yeah, you
Awesome.
can. Yeah, and we're kind of going to the weeds here. So I'm going to give you a link and you can share with your people. We can kind of take a deeper dive, individually on a person specific situation. But so let's talk about the person that's just starting out in investing, right? I set up a business, and I'll use myself as the example. I was a W-2 guy 21 years ago. I wanted to invest in real estate because I knew it created more wealth than anything. And so all I knew in the beginning was like, I need an LLC. Okay, cool. I have an LLC. I spend a bunch of money on trying to get my, softwares and things like that to get my LLC running. Well, my business isn't profitable. But what I didn't realize at the time, and just like a lot of your people, I reached out to mentors to teach me all of this stuff, is even though I have a business that's not profitable, that business can show losses. And because I'm a W-2 person, I get to play in all the tax code, which is about 6,000 pages. And so because I have a business, because I have a self-directed retirement account attached to the business, and I'm a W-2 guy, I got a lot of tax deductions and I got a bigger tax return because I get to play in all the tax code sandbox. So it doesn't matter if the business is, booming. It doesn't matter if it's just starting. These are tools that allow somebody to play the game of taxes, play the game of retirement, and do it in a way that's, very strategic, legal, moral, ethical, and allow us to legally pay the minimum rate in the taxes. It's a game,
Yeah. So it sounds like this strategy in the self-directed world helped you on your journey as well too. Yeah, you're a product of the system as well.
Yeah, man. Really quick, so I learned from my mother. My mother was like the one that taught me early on, get a good job, save your money, put it in your 401k, get a good job. Number one, that has a 401k, make sure they match it, and then do that thing. And my mother worked for a company called Freddie Mac. A lot of your viewers are going to know who Freddie Mac was back in the day. 32 years, this woman was like saving. 18 months before she was going to retire, 2008 came. Everyone knows what happened in 2008. My mom shows up to work on a Monday. The doors are locked. She gets a phone call a week later letting her know that her entire life savings was wiped away in the stock market in one day.
Wow.
Now she'd saved almost $1 million in her 401k plan. My mother also was, new into real estate. She had 4 rental properties. Nobody taught her how to structure it in a way that would protect it through businesses. No one taught her the tax advantages. Nobody was actively managing her money. Nobody told her that she could self-direct it, and everything wiped away in a matter of months. 9 months after that, she passed away in her sleep due to emotional hardship.
Wow.
So that was the catalyst for me. I remember standing at her funeral. I was like, what's happening? Like, I realized for me, it was this financial untruth that I had been taught, that saving your money, getting a good job, the job was going to save me, the 401k plan was going to be the thing. And watching this woman do it, like David, she was like perfect to a T, followed every single rule, and passed away with nothing. Right before, she was 62, she was going to have her early retirement. And so just like a lot of your folks, like I study, I reached my hand out and I learned from professionals and I learned all of this stuff and I wanted to be mentored. And then I went out and started to help people understand this stuff. So yeah, there's another way to do things, when we use real estate. And again, the folks that are watching that have W-2 job, that's awesome. Like, you're building this runway, right? You're building this wealth. There's also this thing that can be built on side of that. So if we ever want to take the off ramp and go into business full time, like, we have the off ramp to do that, or the option, or we can just stay and run both roads simultaneously, job and business.
Sounds like this is not just a passion project and you're in the self-directed world, but it's a mission based on what I just heard right there. That was some heavy stuff. And I'm sorry you had to go through that. It sounds like you've turned that into something where you're trying to help as many people avoid what happened in that situation as possible.
Yeah, no, thank you for saying that. And I believe that wholeheartedly on a daily basis, man. I want to help as many people that are willing to listen to the message. And if all I do is just educate people on like what's possible, because the thing is, like, even though I do real estate, my job isn't to teach people to make money in real estate. Like, that's your group's job. Like, they have different, education and they have that path. My job is to be on the side and be like, okay, cool. You're heading down this, like, these are all the things that can help you build wealth for you, protect it, minimize your taxes, build for your future financially, support your family, have the money go in your pocket, have the compounding interest come to you, and not just giving money away for no reason, just because we don't know any better.
No, that's so good. Because I don't know if you've seen this, Carter, but like when people play Cash Flow 101, that game from Robert Kiyosaki, it's like they're stuck in the rat race, and it's like you've helped them build a bridge to like the fun track, the financial freedom, through the self-directed, and making sure that that they're not left on the side of the road, of like, okay, we worked our butts off. We did everything right. We put all this money away. We made lots of money, whether in W-2 or in a business or real estate investing company. And now there's nothing to show for it at the end of the day. And you're really helping people with that education side. So I did want to ask then, there's other self-directed companies out there. Would you say that your mission there and what you're doing, is it the education that makes it different? Like, how would you say that you have separated yourself from kind of the pack of companies out there?
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. Yeah, the education for sure. Education comes first. We want to make sure people understand what their options are so they can base decisions, on what's going to be best for them. The second part of that is the way that we build them is just a completely different way. Yeah, there's tons of self-directed companies out there. What most people are going to find is the custodial model, which basically is you give your money, your retirement money to that company as the custodian. That company holds that money in their control. And then if you want to use that money, you have to ask permission to that company.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to do this deal. It's going to go here. Here's how much. Here's why I'm doing it. And because the custodian controls it, they're going to take some time to review it. They're going to, it takes time. And as you know, David, in real estate, like we need to base decisions on fact and figure right now in real time, make sure the numbers work, and we need to pull the trigger, right? That deal's not going to hang out for, 3 days to 3 weeks before I can, so, and then custodians will charge fees to do that because they control it. They're going to charge a fee. And there's annual fees and fees, which completely goes against why we want to control our money to get away from the fee-based process.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, our process is completely different. We build our self-directed accounts. It's a checking account at a bank. We're partnered with a bank. So a client moves their money from a Fidelity to a Schwab or whatever into their own bank account. They have their own debit card, their own checkbook. It's an entity. We build it with a trust, and I don't want to bore everybody to death with like how a watch is built. But we can do that on a one-on-one call. But it's a retirement account. That's a trust. That's a bank account that the client can do whatever they want. They don't have to ask permission. They don't have to pay a fee. They just can deploy their money at will into things that they want to invest into. And they don't have to pay a fee to do it.
That is so interesting. Because like I know people in this space, and all I've heard of this is the custodial model. So I think this is very interesting where, okay, then you're not like the trust, or you're not the custodian for the people. Then are you then advising them and like setting and helping them, like almost hand holding them to get it set up and what they can and can't do? Like you said, you're telling them how the watch is built almost, but being able to do it so they're successful. Is that it as well as what I'm picking up?
Yeah. So we build the watch. So we
so you help them build the watch.
We do it for them, right?
Okay, you do it.
We build the retirement account. Okay. We create the trust account. We set up the bank account. We roll the money. We do all the stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, we do ongoing education, but it's, David, when I say, and you have a lot of custodians, they want to make it feel as if you, the client, doesn't want to control your money because you, the client, there's so much of there's all these different rules and I'm a simple guy. I'm like a cookies on the bottom shelf guy. I just want it to be super easy. So there's 2 things you can't do with a self-directed account. You cannot buy life insurance with it, basic, and you can't invest into a collectible. Like you can't buy a stamp, coin, or alcohol. That's it.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Go do whatever else you want. You want to start a business, you want to invest in real estate, you want to buy land, you want to buy cattle. Like anything that's not a collectible or life insurance, like go get them. I pat you on the back and say, see you later. Call me if you have a question. Don't pay me for the question. Just call me if you have a question.
Yeah. That's so interesting. It's just such a different model than what I'm used to hearing in this space.
Those are
of
the
what you're
fee-based
doing.
models. Yeah, those are the fee-based models. Yeah.
Okay. So that's where you are literally building it for them, and then you're there for them if they need you, and then there's ongoing education.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do webinars on a weekly basis. I have one tonight, and we just educate. Right, it's kind of an open forum. People are doing deals. My job isn't to tell them to do a deal, not to do a deal. My job is like, okay, cool. Here's the best way to do that.
Yeah.
You can take a loan from the retirement account. You can fund your business, have the business make the money, pay the. It's like there's a lot of different cool things that can be done after that. But we just want to teach, man. I want to build you the thing, and I want to teach you how to use it. It's super easy.
All right. I have to pause the episode real quick. If you're a real estate investor who's tired of wondering where your money is going or why you're closing deals but still feeling broke, you need to talk to Simple CFO. Simple CFO is Profit First certified and fully endorsed by Mike McAlowitz, the creator of Profit First himself. Our team specializes in helping real estate investors finally get control of their cash flow so you keep more money, you pay yourself consistently, and build a business that doesn't run on chaos. We'll help you implement the Profit First system the right way, set up the financial processes you've been missing, and give you a dedicated fractional CFO who actually understands investing and keeping track of your numbers on flips, wholesales, rentals, private lending, all of it. So if you want predictable profit instead of living deal to deal, head over to simplecfo.com and book your financial clarity call today. That's simplecfo.com. Stop living in confusion and start keeping the money you work so hard to earn. Now, back to the episode. Okay. I want to ask this because this is also a touchy subject in this space. Customer service. Like, how is it there? Not that is it impeccable? I was going to say, I'm asking basically the top guy here, but this is where a lot of the other custodians, you hear, even though you're paying to call them, like the long wait times, or like the person doesn't know the answer, or like, hey, go figure this out, go Google this, thing. It sounds like you take more of a coaching and like a very hands-on approach versus like, let me just call this number, get someone that has no idea what they're doing, that is literally just clocking in, clocking out. And like, okay, if I find the answer, great. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah. So we're heavy on the education up front. Like we want to make sure that everyone knows what it is, how it benefits them, how they can use it. It's very simple. The way that we build them, it's a bank account. It's an entity. You use it the exact same way that you would a business. Same thing. Wire money, ACH, swipe a debit card, write a check. Invest in something, deposit in the checking account.
So you're even removing some of the barriers that make it to where the other companies have the questions pop up because you're not the custodian. Because I think that's a lot of it, is like they're just reaching out for different things, or like, hey, can I get the money, or can I get it faster, or can I do this or that, or whatever it might be, where you've removed some of those barriers of entry for a self-directed account. Okay,
correct.
Cool.
Yeah. Again, not saying, just for education purposes, custodians, right? They make money when the client's money is in their account, right?
Right.
Then they get overnight Fed rate and they charge fees to move, right? That's so not saying that they make it difficult, but they don't have to do it, man. If I'm just being completely honest, David. So like the IRS code says, look, a custodian just doesn't have to let you do that particular investment, not because it's illegal, but because maybe they're having some difficulties in administration department, or they can say, hey, no, we don't actually like that deal. Well, you're doing a rehab in Ohio and the cap rate's 12%. We don't love it.
Yeah.
What? That's my money. I should be able to do that deal if I want to do that deal. Why are I asking permission? And then why am I also paying a fee for that?
Yeah. Huh. That's great. So yeah, that is a lot different for that setup, and I really like it. Okay. Well, we're getting down to the final minutes here. In this, I want you to give your best real estate advice, like whether it be for the retirement accounts or whether it be just something that you've learned over the years doing it yourself, but what's something that you would want to impart to the listeners before we start to wrap it up?
On the real, I'm going to say just in general, but anything that you're interested in, anything that you have a passion for that you want to do, find the right people that know how to do that thing and reach your hand out and ask for guidance and help. I've been fortunate in my life with men in finance and business and, asset protection retirement to teach me from Goldman Sachs to Fidelity, to asset protection attorneys. And I've been mentored by people in the space that I wanted to learn that thing. And just, take suggestions, be open to suggestions, understand that you don't know it all, and find a group or people that know how to do that thing and just get behind them and follow them. That's been my experience, whether it's on the real estate side, the self-directed side, but knowledge is key, man. And like right now we're in such a blessed time in our lives where there's more groups and there's more, high level people and community to teach us these things, because guys like you and I, we actually want to help. It's like, come here, man, let me show you I found a way through this thing. Let's show you how to do the same thing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Because being open to feedback, and like you said, finding your tribe, that group, that community that's been where you want to be, and really leaning in and asking them. So I did want to ask, what's your best tip than in your line of work, like the self-directed industry? Do you have like a hot tip or something that we didn't talk about where you're like, man, I wish everyone would know this?
Yeah, I mean, we'll just keep it on the self-directed subject matter. So a tip in the self-directed subject matter, like I'm 49-year-old guy, right? Retirement age is 59. Well, because I have a bit, and these are things that I'll teach the viewers that are, watching this if they'd like want to have a conversation. But if I have a business that's making money and I contribute to my business's 401k plan, well, that's still a retirement account. So in there,
Yeah.
I got to wait until I'm 59 and a half to live off of it. But the cool little tip, trick is I can borrow money from that retirement account personally to myself. I can then fund a business, have that business make a bunch of money. I can pay myself back interest as much as to 100% if I want. And then I can just kind of keep that ecosystem going. So my business makes money. I contribute to the retirement account. I borrow the money personally. I stick it back into the business. I make more money. I can live off the money my business makes. I can take the money, and it's just this ecosystem that just all the money flows back to me legally, morally, ethically.
That is so interesting. Okay. We're probably gonna have a second session or something, because now I have like a million more questions because of
Yeah, man, that's just like
one of
one of many cool things. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. I love hearing that, and that you're doing that with the self-directed accounts, because I've heard that with other products out there, just not the self-directed. So that's very cool. Okay, so now that you've definitely whet my appetite, and I'm sure other people's, what is the best way for people to either reach out to you, get a hold of you, or go to the webinars? Like, where do you want to point people to?
So I think initially everybody can just go to www.talktounified.com/PF for profit first. So there's the link right there. You can book a wealth session. I mean, we'll spend an hour and a half with people and just educating them. Like, where are you at? What path are you heading down? What are the best things that can kind of get you there potentially a much quicker rate? How do retirement accounts work in kind of the ecosystem? So we would just love to educate on all this stuff. And I know we spent, we really 30,000 foot macro view. We would love to get really granular with people specifically on their situation, how these things could potentially help them.
Yeah, no, this has been awesome. Where from number one, this is really a mission for you. And again, just thank you for telling that story, because I think that hits home with lots of people where they've seen someone in their life, they had a loved one that did it right or tried to do it the best they could, and then everything got wiped out. So I appreciate you bringing up your own personal story there, and now how you're helping other people on that journey as well, too. And it was very interesting learning what Unified Wealth does, because not as a custodian, but more of like you're helping people build this and even building it for them, and then educating and really being that support from that side, which I think is so different than the typical model in the self-directed world. And just being able to go down this road with someone that has been there. Sounds like you've invested in real estate. You've gone down the road of building a business. You've gone down the road now of helping so many other businesses. I just want to recap there with some of the highlights, and I appreciate everything you said, and finding the community, finding the people, asking the questions. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know this. Please teach me. I need to know this. I raise my hand. So it's been really great. So again, if you're listening, that website was www.talktounify.com/PF. That's where you can find them. And if you're making money but feeling broke and you're like, dude, I can't even think about a retirement account right now because my head's underwater, reach out to simplecfo.com. That's our website. We can get you back on the right track, and then getting you investing in a self-directed account as soon as humanly possible, because this is something, the longer you wait, the worse it is. The longer you wait, the worse it is. And this is wherever you are, being able to start that on your journey as soon as humanly possible. I do it myself personally. And then Carter obviously has helped tons of people in this space as business owners. So Carter, thank you again. Is there anything else before we wrap up that you'd like to say?
No, man, it's a real honor to come and spend some time with you and share the message that there is hope. There is a way that we can do things different or better to help us get into that financial stability and freedom that we're all looking for. So thanks a lot for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And if you're listening to this, remember, make profit a habit, not an event. And remember to keep that money. That's it for today's show. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share this episode. If you're serious about financial systems and keeping more of your profit, visit simplecfo.com to take your free discovery call today.